Bonjour tout le monde. Bienvenue dans l'autre épisode Strive305 en créole. Créole parler, créole comprendre. Jodi, nous parlons un petit changement. Parce que nous parlons parler un petit anglais parce que invité nous sont invités spécial. C'est Michael Miller de Community News. D'ailleurs, c'est dans le studio parlant que nous filmons tout épisode Strive305. C'est à cause de lui que l'émission sera possible. Mais avant que nous arrivions sur M. Miller, je présente au co-host Naed.
Bonjour tout le monde, c'est un plaisir pour moi de tourner avec nous aujourd'hui à l'autre épisode et moi extrêmement curieux pour m'apprendre plus sur ça Michael Miller a fait dans Miami Community News, mais espérons même tout.
Ça qui est spécial avec Miami Community News, c'est que c'est un business familial et de génération en génération, yo continue avec business et son business cap thrive kounia. Mais nous allons quitter Michael Miller parler de ça. Michael, how are you?
Good, ladies. I'm delighted to be here. All right, first time I've been on the Creole show, speaking show. Thank you very much, and thanks for the wonderful introduction.
Well, thank you for being here. This is the first time that we actually get to speak English, but there are over 500,000 Haitians living in Miami-Dade, and the thing is that they all speak a little French.
Wait, so that's 500,000.
500,000 in Florida. Sorry.
In Florida. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Got it. Okay.
So we have a large population,
Yes.
and a lot of them actually speak English
Yes.
too. So we wanted to make sure that we bring your story because we're so grateful to be here. Miami Community News has been fantastic to us, and we want to learn a little bit more about your business, about this industry. And so who's best to learn it from you?
And as I mentioned to you a month or so ago, my brother Grant and I wanted to have more Haitian Americans here in the community newspapers on our shows. And lo and behold, all right, you ask and ye shall receive. And then you guys walk in the door through Strive305. So it's you answered a lot of questions for us. So delighted to be here.
Well, we're so happy to be part of this family, and you have treated us like family. But now we're going to go through a couple of questions and see.
Just for clarity, I don't know any of the questions.
Yes.
Right? Didn't rehearse it. All right. All right.
Yes, we want to know a little bit more about you. So if you were to describe yourself in 3 words, what would you say?
Loving and caring. And you count the word "and" in there. Loving and caring.
Oh, I love that.
We were missing a word.
Yes.
Loving, caring, accountable.
Oh, accountable. Oh, okay. I didn't hear the accountable.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Miami Community News. I know you guys have a really interesting story. And who did it start with? Because this is a family business.
So my father Ron Miller was on radio and TV in the late 50s and early 60s. And in 1960, he bought a newspaper. It's called the South Dade Shopping News from James Carey Martin. Thank you, Mr. Martin's family. And my father, Ron, developed the concept of local area papers. And when he was done with his Channel 7 stint and WEDR, he said, all right, I'm going to do this community newspapers. He renamed it Community Newspapers. And he started developing the local areas. That's where Grant and I understood that where the growth was. It was in local. And as you grow older, you begin to realize, yes, in Miami, there's local neighborhoods, there's local schools, there's local chambers of commerce. So we understood that and was able to take what he had built, which is about 10 local areas, and be able to personalize it. For instance, we said, okay, we're going to start a paper in Aventura and in Sunny Isles because they weren't that area. It was called Miami-Dade County then, and in Palmetto Bay and Pinecrest and Cutler Bay and Doral. And we knew that people wanted that. So we put our heads together and said, what do we need to do to better serve the people in those areas? Because we recognized even back then that people, people care about this. They care about this is what they care about. The other stuff, it's incidental. So we were fortunate enough to be able to access our brains and our staff and a terrific team to be able to build it.
I think that's amazing. I think a lot of people don't realize that you do have individual small papers in different parts. What made you realize that these specific neighborhoods needed that attention?
There were a couple things. One, when we met with the county 25 years ago, the county said, we want to do business with you because you're a local. And I said, Grant, I think we're onto something that was here. And then we started supporting the local community council with the local zonings boards. And what we realized that there were a lot of homeowners associations that had their own newsletters. And they would send it out to the 100 people or the 500 people. And so we could do that in a bigger way. So let's do that. And we were really blessed to be able to create that. And then in the early 80s, we were a really first adopter down here of saying the internet websites are a good thing for us because we can then take our stuff and distribute it to the people that we wanted to reach, because we didn't want to have to go create another newspaper, spend a fortune to see if it was going to work. And so we were able to make that happen, right? And we know that, for instance, on the county commission, there's 13 seats, each serving a different area, and the same with the school board. Thank you. We all should thank Steve Cody. Thank you for that, because he was the one that brought the lawsuit against the county, against the school board, to make that happen. And we just realized that in each of the areas, there's things that were individual to that area. There's some areas that are very diverse, but in lots of them, no, it's very similar.
Yeah.
And so we said, we need to do that. And we're able to do it quite well.
I'm curious. So your dad started that business, but when you and Grant, when did you get involved in it? Why did you develop that passion for like the community, the media? And also I want to understand the shift, because at first you started like with newspaper to like network, like the news and the TV and all.
So when I was in high school, I used to deliver newspapers.
No way.
And it was like, okay, I'm in. To race from Palmetto High School, come out and deliver newspapers. And people wanted it. It was a good thing to say, we have a product that people want to consume, right? If you're a restaurant, they consume your food. We consume our content. And that excited me. And there was certain prestige in having the ability to disseminate content. The passion was there from the get-go. Late 60s, I was delivering newspapers to the Gould's post office, which is about a 12 by 12 standalone wooden thing. I'm delivering newspapers. 11 o'clock at night, my hands are swollen from carrying all the bundles.
Yeah.
And I said, there's got to be a better way. Well, that was 55 years ago. And there isn't a better way. This is really it. And I learned when my father was on Channel 7 for a long time, I watched how he reported the news, and people wanted local. And then when he was on radio, he had a radio show on WDR called The Gospel Hour. And he took me to the marches that were in Jacksonville. And I watched to see what was happening between the white people and the people of color, and watched that animosity that was there. And so I learned that although we're theoretically one, but it's divided in these pieces, and sometimes there's a connection. If we're lucky, there's a connection. And Grant and I knew that we could provide that connection by bringing people together, as you've seen here so often, including an hour ago, right, how that stuff happens. And it was Javier Betancourt from CITT that says, you guys got a town square here. And we put the sign up. And today I was looking at that sign. And I'm even getting goosebumps. It's a thrill to be able to bring people together and allow that to happen, the dynamics that happen because of people in the same room.
There's been a lot of shift in the media industry. There's been a lot of shift in the business of newspapers and things like that. And I know that it's been difficult, and some newspapers haven't survived. So I guess for me, I want to understand, how did you survive? How did you manage those shifts? I want to understand a little bit more of the business side of Miami Community.
That's a very good question. In the early 80s, Grant and I said, we got this internet thing. And I remember saying, if we don't get on this, I think we're going to miss out. This is long before people knew. And I said, but our access to it meant that we could share content and get people to read our stuff. And then so we started getting more involved with the website. And then I started seeing what the major papers were doing, which was nothing, all right? And I said they were doing nothing because they thought they had this impenetrable franchise, which we knew they didn't. Not that we did, but we knew that we had to do something. And then one day I get a call from the Herald folks, we'd like you to come over. So I go over there, and there was a conference room that was probably bigger than this room here, right? And a big conference table, and about 15 of them, and me on the other side. I go, where are the other people? No, it's just you. Me and you guys. And they started talking about working together. I thought that was sort of odd, because it's just us.
Little, yeah.
And at that point, the Herald is making 50% of the profit of the full chain, which is gigantic. And they started talking about their concern about AOL. I came back and I go, they were concerned about this internet thing. Right? They were too big to do anything about it. I knew that clear off the bat.
Yeah.
Right? They were just too big, too protective of the legacy. And so what we were able to do is that we did what the internet companies did, which was do what you need to do to be successful at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started posting a lot of stories and first the PDFs and then creating newsletters, which is to deliver the content to people rather than waiting for them to come to us. We went to them. And so over the years, we just got good at it. We got this great team.
Yeah.
And probably in 2017, somebody comes over with a little iPhone in the back. They're laying on the ground. There's about 6 people. They're talking and they're filming this. I go, what is that? This is going on to wherever it was, Facebook. I said, Grant, I think there's something to this. And then, so we would go around to different restaurants holding an iPhone with the thing. And you know Susie McDowell?
Yes.
So maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, she drags me over to Jackson Soul Food. We're sitting in a booth. We got the cameras going. And it was her and some of her buddies and me. And I said, Grant, we must do this. I said, because we can reach more people. And Facebook made it perfectly clear that they were going after the TV business. And I said, people are 7 times more likely to watch a video than they are to read a story. Mm-hmm. So let's tell our stories through videos.
Oh, I love that.
And it just worked.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a commitment a couple of years ago to make sure that people that were on our shows, the people interviewed, were represented in Miami-Dade County. It was a hard thing because we all sort of default to somewhere.
Yeah.
And I got my hats off to Mayor Cava, by the way, about 5, 6, 10 years ago. I used to go to Casa Cuba a lot, and I would tell people, come back on Tuesday. One day, 40 people showed up, and including the mayor. And she looks at people, she says, you know, Michael, there are only 3 women here. And I said, I know. I said, I'm going to work on making that better. It took me a while. So, because the default was for people that look like me, because that's the circle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so Grant and I worked fervently on it, and we've achieved that. And so I'm wondering about our next step. What's going to be the next thing?
I was just about to say, it's clear that in your business model, adaptability has been what works and being open-minded. And I think that's sometimes for a lot of the older business and generational businesses, that's what blocks them or what makes the difference between the ones that succeed and the ones that fail, is being able to adapt with the environment and going to your customer where meeting your customer where they're at. I think that's probably what separates your business from a lot of other businesses.
There's a book, Who Moved My Cheese? If you haven't read it, you really got to go do it, because there's these 5 little mice. They go to the same place to get their cheese, and after a while, there's a little less food. So 2 of them took off, right, to go find some more food, and they're hunting down more food. Meanwhile, the last 2 guys are going to the same place where there used to be food. There's no longer food there.
Yeah,
and so it is with business. We recognize, you keep looking at all these places, all right? You have to be adaptable. That is the number one thing, and Grant and I have the philosophy, better to have tried it and it didn't work than never to have tried it.
I love that.
Right? And, Napoleon Hill says, think and grow rich. So that's just not the name of the book. Think and grow rich, and not be afraid to take a chance. And Grant and I take chances every day, as you do. Right?
Yeah.
So we are having the blast, all right? One of the things we've recognized, this show right now that we're doing, I think are we streaming right now, or are we going to show it later?
So I love it. We're streaming. We're live.
So this is the information, and it's already shared. When we would just a newspaper, one product, right? We would think of a story, we'd write a story, we'd lay it out, we'd print it, and we'd distribute it. It might be a week before it really made a cycle. So in this case, it is instant.
Faster.
Yeah.
That's the part that excites us. Right? Say, here, and we're going to share this, and thousands of people are going to see at least part of this. Your lovely faces, all right? And it's like really exciting for us to be able to share that.
Can you remember any big challenge that you had to overcome over those years and how you did it? what was like maybe like the values that help you or the people that help you overcome that?
So a couple of stories.
Mm-hmm.
I was in college and I was failing an English class.
No, not you.
Yeah. And the professor says, "What's the problem?" I go, "I don't know." She says, "Come, we have a special class here." I go, and it's in her office. It's 2 desks. I said, "Where's the class?" It's here. So, "Michael, tell me what's going on." I said, "Here's what's happening." I sit down to write, and I get frustrated. And I pull that paper out of the typewriter. Remember, there used to be typewriters?
Yes. I actually learned how to type on a typewriter too.
And I said, I could get frustrated. She says, "Next time it happens, Michael, this is what I'd like you to do. Just stop, take a deep breath, and start again."
Mm-hmm.
So my hat's off to her. That's number one. Number two, 50 years ago, my father said, "So what do you want to do?" I was afraid to tell him I wanted to come to work here. He says, "So why don't you do this? Do whatever you want to do. Do the best you can until you don't want to do it anymore, and then go do something else."
I'm curious, why were you afraid to tell him that you wanted to come work
I
here?
don't know. But when I took some graduate classes. The first day of graduate class, the professor says, "What do you want to do?" To everybody, run community newspapers. And I said, effectively run. Then I read to own. So it was a 3-step process.
Yeah.
And so some of those words, when my father said, I put on the building. And so that's one of the things that happens. You know, what do you want to do? How do you overcome adversity? A physical thing that happened when Hurricane Andrew 30 years ago, God bless everybody, our house was destroyed. The business still, I came over, Grant said, "So what are you going to do?
Wow.
Are you going to go home and cry and just die? Is that what you're going to do?" He said, "Are you going to go to work?" I said, "Let's go to work." And it's really Grant that has the enthusiasm to, whenever there's this down thing, he doesn't let that happen. And so, again, what I've learned to do is to understand people, understand myself, and be able to, we need to draw on that stuff. And sometimes I think as we all get into that little rabbit hole, we're going to go, where's this going? I think we have to say to ourselves, so what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? The new things that we do is really the thing that keeps us alive here. And I think when we look at AI and the differences that's making, a year and a half ago, I sat down with our people and I said, if you thought the internet was something, this thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody here wanted to do it until now. All right?
There you go.
And I take a class at FIU, online class, and it's like whoosh, floating around here. That excites us, and to be able to do that, and to be able to measure it, to be able to continue educating themselves. And I think that's what we do here to stay alive.
I love that. I think you touched on something that's really important, and it's actually something that we see in a lot of Haitian communities is there are children, and we have two sides of it. So there are children of business owners that don't want to continue in their footsteps. And then there are other ones that do, but for whatever reason, there's sort of this intimidation. It's like, because this is a legacy that you have to carry. Do you feel like carrying that legacy is heavier on you? Like you have more of a responsibility because this is a family business?
I do. And I've spoken to the folks at Ferry's Hardware, big stores, huge stores. And then years ago at one of the big furniture stores, I said, "So how do you do this family business?" He said, "We each have our own stores." That's what they told me. He says, "Make so much, you can never control how much money your wife spends, so make a lot of money." I do feel that. And we've already achieved the second generation there. My son, who's in advertising, he plays a little bit. As a matter of fact, that's his book up there on the top there, his booklet. He does some shows here. But he wanted to do his own thing, and so we certainly respect that. About a year and a half ago, I asked my wife, "It's time for you to come to the office." I said, "You need what you met."
Yeah,
I said,
she's lovely.
It's important that you understand how we do this. And my big growth came one day when I was really frustrated with something that she wasn't doing, and I said to myself, 45 years, 45 days. What do you expect?
Yeah.
And that huge growth moments for me as far as what continues. And so as I look at it, and I look to, she needs to understand this. So one day when something happens, right, she'll be able to continue on with this. We do have a daughter who's very happy. She got her master's in public administration. She loves her kids. She stays home with the kids. Her husband in real estate, so they're very happy. So she will never come here, right?
Never say never.
All right, that's true. Maybe they're waiting for me to step aside, so we'll see.
I mean, I can see a mommy podcast in the works that might actually be really fun for her.
She does do a show, by the way.
Oh, nice.
She does it with the local rabbi, and they have really in-depth conversations about life and community and socialization.
That's beautiful. So you see, she did actually stay in the family business. I think that's kind of like one of the things, sometimes following in your parents' footsteps, it can be heavy. It can be because the weight of your parents' judgment is very different from, just public perception. You're starting something completely different.
When I first started, that was the biggest thing, which was, and you asked why didn't I just tell them, well, I won't be good enough, and what about this and what about that? But it's been great, and we have a great team, and Alex is producing the show. He has his 3rd-year anniversary coming up. Thank you very much, Alex.
We love Alex.
And we have a great team here, many of whom have been here 25 to 40 years. That's sort of normal here.
That's amazing.
Right? And then we made sure that everybody who does this part right here, that they're under the age of 25. Just to balance it out a little bit.
I would love to say that I'm under the age of 25, but alas.
And one of the other things that inspires us, we do a lot of events, and we have between 50 and 250 people show up. That's so inspiring for us that we can have a party and people come to see who's at the party. That is a wonderful thing for us. And so we just did one, happened to be Mayor Cobb was our speaker last one. We have Live Like Bella coming up a couple days. And then we do a Strive party here in a week or so. When you see the people there, and it's not just that they go to watch the speaker, they're waiting till after so they can meet with the people. We watch it at the end. There's 8 or 10 groups of people just hanging around, 5 to 10 people. And it's wonderful to see that we were able to open that door for that to happen.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm just wondering what would be the advice that you would give to any business owner right now wanting to start their business and feeling stuck.
Right. Don't be afraid to fail, period.
Yeah.
And so often we realize that that's what sort of stops us from doing it. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, if you try it and it didn't work, then you'll be on to trying something different. I think that's the number one thing, for me. And I don't lift weights, but there are people, there's an exercise, lift till you fail, until it won't do any more. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of what we do. And my brother Grant is up from 7 in the morning. We have meetings here at 6:30, 7 o'clock.
I don't know where he gets the energy.
From one end of the county to the next, all right? He is really the person that really makes that outside sort of work, all right? I get a lot of my energy from him, and I would never be depressed around him because he won't put up with it.
You only have one brother?
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
That's perfect.
Did you guys ever try to do anything else aside from the news?
That's a very good question. Granted, I used to import exotic birds and exotic animals.
Stop it.
Stop it. Yep. As a matter of fact, he spent 6 weeks in Guyana in a hammock as for collecting birds down there. And we used to bring in birds from Ghana, Africa. And that was a lot of fun, all right? Dangerous, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very different from being in the news.
He had to wear shorts and no shoes. That was the deal, or else you're going to get robbed.
No, wow. That is crazy.
You should ask him about it when you see him.
I actually will. Do you have any birds now you do? You still have some?
After all that time, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, I know that we're coming on our time, so there are a couple of questions. We're just going to make it really fun. Then we're going to go really quick. So whatever comes at the top of your head, just answer really fast, whatever comes. Okay, So what is the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning?
I work on AI.
Really?
Sit down every morning when my mind is really clear. I sit down for 30 minutes writing different stories about the newspaper writing and seeing how I can work with that. It really intrigues me, gets my mind going and think about the possibilities. And here's what I've learned. If you don't ask the question you're asking doesn't get you the answer you want, change it around and ask it a different way.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, so Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee? I'm a coffee girl. too.
Decaf, 2 creams. All right.
Oh, I love it. Now we know the coffee order. What kind of music inspires you? Supposed to be quick. Supposed to be quick. Let's go.
Like Tony Bennett, I left my heart in San Francisco. When I listen to that thing, I just get swooned away.
I love that.
Now, which country or which city did you visit that you think was the most beautiful?
When I went to San Diego, all right, it was like, wow, look at this. All right. I was out there on some events and I saw what they were doing to the downtown district years ago. It was really wonderful. And then so close to the border. So I got a little bit of Miami in there. All right. And a lot of great stuff.
Tell us one book that you have read that really impacted your life.
Think and Grow Rich, all right, by Napoleon Hill. I've read it a dozen times, and every time I read it, all right, I get something else. If you ask for a nickel, that's exactly what you're going to get. Ask for a little more, that might happen for you.
Oh, I love that. All right. And then favorite childhood memory?
Snake hunting.
Snake hunting?
Used to hunt snakes in the Everglades.
No.
Yep.
Wow.
I love it. I love all the dimension.
The thrill of this, my 30-plus-year-old daughter went out python hunting with her husband and walking through the water with boots on. And I'm going, you know, I used to be there myself a long time ago. And she's blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, beautiful fingernails. And I said, I don't know what motivated you, but God bless you for doing it.
Oh my, yeah, no, there are some extreme sports. It's just not for me.
We have a last challenge for him.
What's the last
because
challenge?
he's in the Strive305 Creole show, so he's going to have to say a word in Creole.
Okay,
You're going
I'm
to teach
ready.
it to him.
Okay,
Which one?
easy.
Which one are we teaching him?
Well, we're all about love, and
Yes.
we really love working with him, and we feel so much love when we are here.
Absolutely.
So we're going to teach you how to say I love you in Creole.
Okay.
Moi remeon.
When?
Moi
When?
remeon.
Hameo.
Yes, moi remeon.
When? Hameo.
Moi remeon.
When? Hameo. Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's close enough. So we
It's
got it.
close enough.
Yes.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for
Thank you
being
inviting me. I
here.
appreciate it.
I mean, we love it. This was actually our first English show. We're going to be doing a couple more because we've had that request.
Okay.
So you really you kicked it off for us. We're
My
really
pleasure.
grateful.
Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
It. Okay.
You were fantastic.
All right.
Any last announcements?
Yes, we do have one. And this is actually a new program that Strive305 has just started. And it is called the Market Matchmaker Program. And it provides entrepreneurs with a free opportunity to showcase and test their ideas in real-world environment. And whether it's a product, a new gadget, a piece of handmade jewelry, whatever it is, food, clothing, you're going to have the opportunity to present your product in a live setting without spending a dime. So if you are interested in that program, we encourage you to reach out to us at Strive305 at that email, strive305@miamidade.gov or Diego at the FloridaMarketplaceGroup.com. So please share the word around you. This is going to be amazing.
And we'll see you next week for another episode of Strive305 en Creole. Thank you.